Hey guys, Laura here, and we're chatting about lifting equipment today. So it's important to chat about lifting equipment because a lot of us start, with barely anything. We start powerlifting and then slowly add equipment as we go. So I'm just going to talk to you about the different pieces of equipment that you can be using, how to use them, and why you might want to add them. So the first thing that we're chatting about today is arguably what I would find the most important when you're lifting weights or powerlifting is footwear. So these are the most two common shoes you see in the powerlifting world, one of which is a squat shoe and then deadlift slippers. So these are the TYR level 1 squat shoes. All squat shoes have this elevated heel and Velcro and shoelaces. So the reason why we have the elevated heel is to help you out if you have limited ankle mobility, and I have really bad ankle mobility, so I find it easier to lift in a squat shoe so that I don't have to worry about my heels coming off the ground. So this one is a little bit under an inch of a heel. I like the TYRs because they have a wider toe box as well, so a little bit more stability. And these shoes have a very hard, flat sole, so you're just going to get that added stability as well by not wearing a shoe that rocks around too much. Now you can just wear a non-squat shoe to squat as well, like a Nike Metcon or a Reebok Nano. They also have that very sturdy sole. They're just going to lack that heel needed for the ankle mobility portion of it. Obviously squat shoes are worn in squats, but you see people wearing them in bench press as well sometimes, or even in deadlift, though I wouldn't advise that. The second common shoe that you see in powerlifting is the deadlift slipper. These can be worn for all three lifts, so if you don't have limited ankle mobility, these are great for squatting in. They are nice and flat. They have a little bit of support with a little flex. You most commonly see this in the deadlift because the sole is so thin, so it keeps you closest to the ground. People do bench press in these as well because they do have a little bit more traction than a normal shoe might have. So if you don't have a ton of, if you don't have high maintenance ankles like I do, these are a great option for all three lifts as well. Now the third shoe that I have is a little bit more specialized, and as you start benching with more leg drive, you might find this type of shoe necessary. This is a Hyper V, and it just has more traction on the bottom of the shoe. So when you're using leg drive pushing away more, that's going to be a lot more grippy and anti-slip. So if you're benching on carpet and then you're finding that the deadlift slippers don't give you enough traction, these are a great option as well. And I would probably only bench in them. You could theoretically squat and deadlift in them, but they do have a little bit more sole than the slippers do, and because they're a little sticky, I wouldn't feel good about doing squat walkouts in these. All right, next up we have belts. So after you have solid footwear when you're lifting, the belt is probably the next thing I typically suggest to add. So here we have two powerlifting belts. Now there are other options like soft belts that might be better for a beginner who's never used a belt before, but the purpose of a powerlifting belt is just to help us brace harder. Refer to my YouTube video on bracing to find out how to use these effectively. You have two types of belts here. We have our lever belt and then we have our prong belt. So neither are better or worse, it just depends on preference. The prong belt, as you can see, you just might have more options for sizing. Like let's say if you're really bloated one day and you need the hole a little bit looser or tighter. The lever belt is a little bit more set in stone. So this is an SBD lever belt, and you can see there are holes to adjust where you cinch up, like how tight or loose you want the belt. So some people like the belt tighter when they squat and looser when they deadlift. It's just a personal preference. There's another type of lever belt that you can invest in that has the adjustable lever as well. So this is the one I like to lift in. So you can see you can have it looser or tighter. So you can adjust with this little PAL lever system, and then adjust how tight you want it by what hole you have your lever screwed into as well. Next up, we have knee sleeves. So these are specifically used when we squat. So I have two types of knee sleeves here. One is going to be your stiff knee sleeve. So this is typically used for competition purposes. As you get stronger, I wouldn't recommend someone new to knee sleeves using this. I would work up to this. The second type is our soft knee sleeve. So this is an SBD, and you can see it has a lot more give in it. The purpose of knee sleeves is to help keep your knees warm. And then of course, if we're competing, when we're trying to squat the most amount of weight, we're trying to have those knee sleeves assist us a little bit. And then the last piece of equipment that I'm gonna go over are wrist wraps. So these are typically used in bench press just to add a little increased stability to your wrists. I personally like to use them on squats as well. So if you low bar squat, it's a little bit more straight on those wrists, so the wrist wraps can help support. How to use them is, they have these great thumb loops, but in competition, you can't use the thumb loops. So what I do is I take the corner of the wrap, put it kind of between my pinky and thumb, grip that with my 3 fingers. You wanna wrap right over the wrist joist. You don't wanna be too low, right? Because that's not gonna give you too much stability. You wanna be just a little bit over so that wrist wrap can actually help support and increase stability in your wrist. So the first strap I like to make nice and tight all the way around, and then I let up a little bit once it's secure, and then I strap it in. So this wrist strap is a shorter one. Your wrist straps can be up to, I believe, 1 meter, which is pretty long for competition. So this is a shorter one. Length and stiffness is gonna depend on your personal preference.